Chapter 9. Credit in the Financial System. Bank deposits as money. Banks accept the deposits and also pay an amount as interest on the deposits. In this way, people's money is safe with the banks and it earns an interest. People have the right to withdraw the money as and when they require, since the deposits in the bank accounts can be withdrawn or demand. These deposits are called demand deposits. Demand deposits offer another interesting facility. It is this facility which lends it the essential characteristics of money. You have read of payments being made by checks or by electronic means instead of cash. Since one can withdraw money in cash or make payments by check, it makes these deposits work like any other form of money, such as currency notes. Since demand deposits are accepted widely as a means of payment, along with currency, they constitute money in the modern economy. You must remember the role that the banks play here. But for the banks, there would be no demand deposits and no payments by check against these deposits. The modern forms of money, currency and deposits are closely linked to the working of the modern banking system. This entire system is supervised by the government's Reserve Bank of India so that the promise made by the banks to honor withdrawals in cash or payment by check is always kept. The government has to ensure that people's trust in the money kept with the banks in the form of demand deposits or as fixed deposits is always maintained and their money is available for use and accepted by all. The Reserve Bank issues guidelines for this system and examines its working so that people's trust is maintained. Similarly, the government has to ensure that the supply of notes and coins is in adequate amount and in good condition so that people don't face problems in the currency being used. Loan activities of banks. Banks keep only a small proportion of their deposits as cash within themselves. For examples, banks in India these days hold about 15% of their deposits as cash. Banks use the major portion of the deposit to extend loans. There is a huge demand for loans for various economic activities. Banks charge a higher interest rate on loans than what they offer on deposits. The difference between what is charged from borrowers and what is paid to depositors is the primary source of income for banks. Why people require credit? Compared to past, people's need for credit has increased. This may be due to a variety of reasons. In agricultural practices, earlier most of the inputs were supplied by the farmers themselves. The new farming practices require substantial amount of cash in hand to buy seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and to pay for plowing, threshing, harvesting, and hired workers. The increased availability of consumer goods in the market and arrangements for finance has also increased the variety of credit arrangements. We get a variety of goods ranging from essential food grains to utensils, home appliances and furniture, etc. As business and trade increases, the requirement of loans also increases. A substantial part is financed by borrowings from various sources. The idea is to earn more than what they have to pay as interest. Terms of credit. Every loan agreement specifies an interest rate which the borrower must pay to the lender along with the repayment of the principal. In addition, lenders may demand collateral against loans. If the borrower fails to repay the loan, the lender has the right to sell the asset or collateral to obtain payment. Property such as land titles, deposits with banks, livestock are some examples of collateral used for borrowing. Variety of credit arrangements. Example of a village. The trader supplies the farm inputs on credit, which is to be repaid when the crops are ready for harvest. Besides the interest charge on the loan, the trader also makes the farmers promise to sell the crop to them. This way the trader can ensure that the money is repaid promptly. Also, since the crop prices are low after the harvest, the trader is able to make a profit from buying the crop at a low price from the farmers and then selling it later when the price is risen. Arun is a farmer and has 7 acres of land. He is one of the few persons to receive bank loans for cultivation. The interest rate on the loan is 10% per annum and can be repaid any time till 3 years. Arun plans to repay the loan after harvest by selling a part of the crop. He then intends to store the rest of the potatoes in a warehouse in the nearby town and apply for a fresh loan from the bank against the cold storage receipt. The bank offers this facility to farmers who have taken crop loan for them. Formal and informal sources of credit in India. In the above examples, the people obtain loans from various sources. The various types of loans can be conveniently grouped as formal sector loans and informal sector loans. Among the formal loans, the loans from banks and cooperatives. The informal loans include loans from moneylenders, traders, employers, relatives and friends, etc. The RBI sees that the bank gives loans not just only to profit-making businesses and traders, but also to small cultivators, small-scale industries, to small borrowers, etc. In recent times, besides RBI, National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development, NABARD, is another organization that facilitates formal credit organizations in rural India. Formal and informal credit. There is no organization that monitors and regulates the credit activities of lenders in the informal sector. They are able to lend at whatever interest rate they can force upon. There are some major differences between the way formal and informal credit providers operate in India. While the formal credit providers follow certain rules and regulations framed by government and in particular the RBI, and they expect their clients also to follow certain procedures. Informal credit providers do not follow such government rules and they evolve their own procedures. Self-help groups for the poor. Getting a loan from a bank is much more difficult than taking a loan from informal sources. Bank loans require proper documents and collateral. Absence of collateral is one of the major reasons which prevent the poor from getting bank loans. They have few assets to keep as collateral. In recent years, government and non-government organizations have tried out some newer ways of providing loans to the poor. The idea is to organize rural poor, in particular women, into small self-help groups and pool their savings. A typical SHG has 15 to 20 members, usually belonging to one neighborhood, who meet and save regularly. Saving per member varies from Rs 25 to Rs 100 or more, depending on the ability of the people to save. Members can take small loans from the group itself to make their needs. The group charges interest on these loans, but this is still less than what the moneylenders charge. After a year or two, if the group is regular in savings, the group is eligible for loan from the bank. This bank linkage enhances the loan amount available to all the members. Loan is sanctioned in the name of the group and it ensures that the loans are paid back. The trust and pressure among the members make this possible. Important decisions regarding the savings and loan activities are taken up by the group members. The group decides the terms of credit. Moreover, SHGs are building blocks of organization of the rural and urban poor. Not only do women become financially self-reliant, the regular meetings of the group provide a platform to discuss and act on a variety of social issues such as health, nutrition, domestic violence, etc.
మా వీడియో గనుక మీకు నచ్చినట్లయితే లైక్ చేయండి, షేర్ చేయండి. ఇలాంటి మరిన్ని వీడియోస్ కోసం మా ఛానల్ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోవడం మాత్రం మర్చిపోకండి. థాంక్యూ ఫర్ వాచింగ్.